Hello there, this video will cover installing Arch Linux with the LXDE desktop on an Android without rooting. This is a Media Blitz format that will allow me to share topics faster and keep pace with frequently updated topics. My channel focuses on adding the power of Linux to your Android, Chromebook, or PC without the need to root or remove your system. Additionally, I cover cross-platform topics. My playlists are available from the homepage on my YouTube channel and are organized by operating system and cross-platform topics. To make it easier to follow along with my videos, I include the full written instructions in the pinned comment. So if you scroll down to the comments of the current video you are watching now, you will see the top pinned comment containing the written instructions. To see the whole comment, click on Read More. Any updates will be noted at the top of the pinned comment. Note that you can copy and paste the notes into a text file like I have here with the mousepad text editor. Or, if you're feeling fancy, we can copy and paste the notes into a TiddlyWiki notebook, also known as Flexible Offline Searchable Notes. Here, I pressed the backtick key from the top left of the keyboard so that there are 3 backticks before and after the text. This will apply monospaced block formatting. Keep in mind that you can modify the notes however you'd like, whether that's formatting, adding images, or changing what's in the notes. For more information on TiddlyWiki, I recommend watching my TiddlyWiki videos. That concludes the intro, now onward to the video. When running Linux on Android, it's important that we know how to shut down. To shut down Linux on Android, we click on the 3-dot menu from the VNC floating menu, select Disconnect, then go back into the UserLAnd app, right-click on the Arch session, select Stop Session, then swipe out the app from the app's overview. If we didn't shut down Linux properly, then we would also need to reboot our Android device. Then to start Linux back up, we simply open the UserLAnd app, click on the Arch session to start up Arch Linux, and then hold a left click in the TWM background and select Exit. Once we've exited out of TWM, we can launch the LXDE desktop. To do that, we simply execute the Gol Script. Then when the LXDE desktop comes up, we can safely ignore the error and click on the OK button. Then to close out of the terminal, we can press Enter, execute Exit, and here we have Arch Linux running with the LXDE desktop on an Android. To install Linux on Android, we will use the UserLAnd app. To install the UserLAnd app, we can open up the Play Store app. Then from the Play Store, we can click on the Search tab from the bottom, and then we can search for UserLAnd. When the UserLAnd app comes up, we can click on it, and then we can click on the Install button. Once UserLAnd has installed, we can click on the Open button. From here, the first thing we're going to do is set up UserLAnd so that the session screen is the default landing page. To do that, we can click on the 3-dot menu from the top right, select Settings, then click on Default Landing Page, and select Sessions as the default landing page. Once we've done that, we can go back to the Apps screen. Now to install Arch, we can click on Arch in the Apps screen. From here we can click on the OK button for the UserLAnd requires permissions dialog, and then we can click on Allow to allow UserLAnd to send notifications. After that, for the connection type, we can select Graphical, and click on Continue. Finally, for graphical settings, we're going to leave everything as is and click on the Continue button to continue installing Arch. When Arch is installed, we can make the terminal from the top left bigger by moving our mouse over to the terminal, and then do a 2-finger pinch zoom in. In UserLAnd, the floating menu is called the VNC floating menu. To move it wherever we want, we can hold a left click on the leftmost icon and then drag it. Additionally, we can disable the extra keys by clicking on the 3-dot menu from the VNC floating menu, and select Disable Extra Keys. If pinch to zoom isn't enough and everything is still too small, then what we can do is set the resolution first. To do that, we can first make a note of our current resolution by executing env space pipe space grep space in all capital letters dimensions. I recommend writing this down for later. After that, we are going to execute nano space /support /start and then in capital letters VNC server starting with a capital S, step starting with a capital S, 2.sh. This will open the start VNC server step2.sh file with the nano text editor. From here we can go under the if statement that uses the dimensions variable. Under that if statement we will set the dimensions variable to the resolution we want. If we want to set the resolution by height, then we can calculate the width so that we can keep the same ratio by using the given height and the default resolution we just looked at a moment ago. So for setting the resolution by height, we can calculate for the new width by multiplying the given height by the default width, and then divide that by the default height. And then if we want to set the resolution by width, we would multiply the given width by the default height, and then divide that by the default width. So for setting the dimensions variable, we type in all capital letters dimensions, =, double quote, our new width, lowercase x, our new height, double quote. After that, we can do Ctrl-O, Enter, and Ctrl-X to save our changes and exit Nano. Then to apply our new resolution, we can click on the three-dot menu from the VNC floating menu, select Disconnect, go back into the UserLAnd app, right-click on the Arch session, select Stop Session. Then once we've done that, we can swipe out the UserLAnd app from the app's overview, and then we can open the UserLAnd app again, and then from the Sessions screen we can click on Arch to start the Arch session. When Arch starts up, we should notice our new resolution take effect. For the overall LXDE install, we will first update the mirror list so it uses the mirror site that's closest to us. To do that, we will first make a backup copy of the mirror list file, and then we will edit the mirror list file by commenting out the current mirror site being used, and then we will uncomment the mirror site that's closest to us. After that, we will sync the package database and upgrade our system with Pacman, and then we will use Pacman to install the desktop and some wallpapers. Once we've done that, we will create a launch script for starting up the LXDE desktop. And finally, to start up LXDE, we will exit out of TWM and execute the launch script. To update the mirror list, we will first execute cp /etc/pacman.d/mirrorlist /etc/pacman.d/mirrorlist.bak. This will create a copy of the mirrorlist file called mirrorlist.bak. So now we have something to go back to in case we need it. After that, we can edit the mirrorlist file by executing nano /etc/pacman.d/mirrorlist. This will open the mirrorlist file with the nano text editor. From here we can comment out the current mirror site being used by prefixing it with a £. Once we've done that, we can look for the mirror site that is closest to us, and then uncomment it by removing the £. Once we've done that, we can do Ctrl-O, Enter, and Ctrl-X to save our changes. Once we've done that, we will execute sudo space pacman space -S and lowercase y. This will synchronize the package databases. Then after that, we can execute sudo space pacman space -S and lowercase yu. This will give us a full system upgrade. When we are asked to proceed with the installation, we can press the Y key and then press Enter. Now that we've upgraded our system, let's install LXDE. To make it easier to see what I was typing in the terminal, I did Ctrl-L to clear the terminal. To install LXDE, we can execute sudo space pacman space -S space in lowercase letters LXDE. Then for the Enter a selection, we can press Enter to go with the default, And when prompted to continue with the installation, we can press the Y key and press Enter. Lastly, we can install some Arch wallpapers by executing sudo space pacman space dash capital S space in lowercase letters Arch Linux dash wallpaper. When prompted to continue with the install, we can press the Y key and press Enter. We are now done installing software, so all we have to do is create the launch script for starting LXDE. To do that, we can first execute sudo space nano space /usr/bin/gol. This will create a file called gol with the nano text editor, and it will be in the /usr/bin file path. From here, we're just going to enter in one line, which will be start LXDE space ampersand. This will start up the LXDE desktop, and the ampersand at the end will run it in the background. Once we've done that, we can press Enter out of good practice, and then we can do Ctrl-O, Enter, and Ctrl-X to save the file and exit nano. Then to make the script executable, we can do chmod space +x space /usr/bin/gol. So now we can use the script. Now for the moment we've all been waiting for, we can exit out of TWM by holding a left click in the background, select Exit, and then from the terminal we can execute gol to start up the LXDE desktop. When LXDE has started up, we can safely ignore the error window by clicking on the OK button, and then to exit out of the terminal we can press Enter and execute Exit. After that, we can do a 2-finger pinch zoom out so we can see the whole desktop. So now we have Arch Linux with the LXDE desktop running on an Android. From here, I recommend removing the CPU usage monitor and the logout button from the bottom right of the panel. To do that, we can right-click on the CPU usage monitor from the bottom right, and select Remove CPU Usage Monitor from Panel. After that, we can also remove the logout button by right-clicking on it, and select Remove Application Launch Bar from Panel. In LXDE, we can change the background by right-clicking anywhere inside the desktop, select Desktop Preferences, and from the Appearance tab, we can click on the current wallpaper. To navigate to the Arch wallpapers we installed earlier, we can go to /usr/share/backgrounds/Arch Linux. From here we can select whichever Arch background we would like to use, and when we are happy with the background we chose, we can click on the Open button from the bottom right, and then we can close out of Desktop Preferences. Next, let's install Neofetch. To do that, we can open a terminal by clicking on the menu from the bottom left, and in the System category, we can click on LX Terminal. From here, we can adjust the font so it's easier to read by going to the Edit menu, select Preferences, and in the window that comes up, we can click on the current terminal font being used, and then we can adjust the font size. When we are satisfied with the font size, we can click on the Select button. We can also make the regular terminal text a bit brighter by clicking on the current foreground color, and from here we can select a brighter color so it's easier to see. When we are done making adjustments, we can click on the OK button to apply the changes. To install Neofetch, we can execute sudo space pacman space -S space in lowercase letters Neofetch. And like usual, when prompted to continue, we can press the Y key and press Enter. When Neofetch is installed, we can execute Neofetch, and we will get a nice system display in the terminal. Additionally, I recommend installing man by executing sudo space pacman space -S space in lowercase letters man. Then when asked to enter a number, we can press Enter for the default, and then press the Y key and Enter to continue installing. This is useful for when we want detailed documentation on programs we have installed. Keep in mind that most programs have a -- help option and a man page. For example, to get a quick list of options we can use for Pacman, we can execute pacman -- help. And then if we want more detailed documentation, we can execute man pacman. To scroll through a man page, we can use the up and down arrow keys. Then to exit a man page, we can press the Q key. Here I'm just showing some of the most common commands for the Pacman package manager. So to upgrade, we would use -S and lowercase yu to upgrade the system like we did in the beginning. To search for software, we would use -S and then lowercase s followed by the package name. Then to install software, we just use -S followed by the package name. To remove software, we would use the -R option. And finally, to sync the package database, we would use -S and lowercase yy. To get a browser, we can install Firefox by doing sudo pacman -S in lowercase letters Firefox. Then for both install questions, we can press enter to select the default. And to continue with the install, we can press the Y key and then the enter key. When Firefox is installed, we can close out of the terminal. Now to fix Firefox, we can first open it from the menu, and in the Internet category, we can click on Firefox. When Firefox opens, we can go to the URL about:config. From about:config, we can click on the Accept the Risk and Continue button. Then from here, we can search for Sandbox. Now for any values that come up, we can set any true/false values to false by clicking on the toggle button on the right side, and then we can also set any number values to 0 by clicking on the edit button, type in 0, and press enter. After setting any true/false values to false and setting any number values to 0, we can restart Firefox to apply the changes. To do that, we can close out of Firefox, and then we can open it again from the menu, and in the Internet category, we can click on Firefox. And this time when Firefox opens, it will function normally. Now I'm just going to demonstrate some software that we can install and run. For my first example, we have KDE Marble. To install KDE Marble, we would install Marble, and it will be available from the menu, and in the Education category, we can click on KDE Marble. KDE Marble gives us a lot of fun 3D globes that we can move around. To view a different globe, we simply click on a different globe from the list on the left side. Then to move the globe, we hold a left click on the globe and drag the mouse. Next up, I've installed the Kigo board game. When Kigo is installed, it will be available from the menu, and in the Games category, we can click on Kigo. Before playing Kigo, we have to edit the launch command by right-clicking on Kigo from the menu, select Properties, then in the window that comes up, we can go to the Desktop Entry tab, and from here we can prefix the already existing command with dbus-launch space. After that, we can click on the OK button to apply the change. So now when I open up Kigo from the menu, it will start up. And here I've set it up so that the computer plays against itself. For my last example, we have Scratch block programming, which we can get by installing Scratch. When installed, it will be available from the menu, and in the Development category, we can click on Scratch. When Scratch opens up, we can play around with some examples by going to the File menu, select Open, click on the Examples button from the left, and from here we can explore all the different examples. To open an example, we can click on the OK button. Then to run the example, we can click on the green flag button from the top right, and now I have 2 jellyfish floating around my screen. Now I'm just going to share some of the behind-the-scenes process that went on to figure this procedure out. From user request, I started to trailblaze Arch on Android without a map or a compass. At first, I had trouble with exiting out of TWM, so I configured TWM with a go TWM Gol Script and a .twmrc configuration file. This allowed me to set up coloring and open apps with dmenu. I also configured Xterm by creating a .xresources file. Note that the scripts and files I just showed will be available from the pinned comment. Note that this is what I had installed so that the Gol Script and configuration files would work. The Arch Linux-wallpaper provided Arch wallpapers, Nitrogen was for setting the desktop wallpaper, Xorg-xrdb helped with configuring the Xterm terminal, and dmenu is for launching apps. After using the GoTWM script, I had to set the wallpaper for only the first time. In order to do that, I opened Nitrogen with dmenu. To open dmenu, I did a right-click inside the desktop. To scroll through dmenu, we can press the left and right arrow keys. To search for a program, we can start typing in the name of a program, and then to exit dmenu, we can press the escape key. To open an app, we simply press enter, and then we drag our mouse to where we want the window and do a left click to place the window. Note that to minimize a window, we can click on the top left icon. And to restore the window, we can click on the app from the TWM icon manager list. Also, to resize, we can hold a left click on the top right icon in the window and drag the corner. Note that in order to make a window smaller, we have to drag the corner of the window up and to the right first, and then we can drag it inwards. After I had opened Nitrogen, it was time to set the wallpaper. First, I opened Preferences and added the file path to the Arch Linux wallpapers, which again are available from /usr/share/backgrounds/Arch Linux. After adding the file path to the wallpapers, I was able to select the wallpaper I wanted. I also set the picture mode to be zoomed fill. Lastly, to apply a wallpaper with Nitrogen, we have to click on the Apply button. Now that I had TWM running and configured, I tried out a variety of apps such as Scratch Block Coding, where I played with some examples. I also ran KDE Marble to get a fun 3D globe, and finally I tried out the Kigo board game. In order to run Kigo, I had to prefix the launch command with dbus-launch. Additionally, I tried out using tmux to make a fun terminal display. For this, I installed tmux so I can make multiple windows in a terminal. For the displays themselves, I installed htop, which is an interactive process viewer. Then I also installed Neofetch, which is a terminal system display. And lastly, I installed the cmatrix display for funsies. Now these are the tmux shortcuts I used to make the system display. So to open a new window from the right, we do Ctrl-B, release those keys, and then we press the % key. So I did Shift-5 on my keyboard to get %. Then to open a window from below, we can do Ctrl-B, and then press the double quote key. Again, to get double quote, I held Shift and pressed the single quote key. Finally, to resize a window, we can hold Ctrl-B, and then press either the up, down, left, or right arrow keys and repeat as needed. Now I'm going to demonstrate what I just explained. So first, I executed tmux from a terminal. Then when I had tmux running, I executed htop to run the interactive process viewer. After that, I did Ctrl-B, and then I pressed the % key to open another window from the right. After that, I resized the new window by repeatedly holding Ctrl-B and pressing the left arrow key. Then from this new window, I executed Neofetch to get the terminal system display. Once I had that, I pressed Ctrl-B, and then I pressed double quotes to open a window below the Neofetch window. From this last window, I executed cmatrix to get an awesome looking terminal display. Finally, to resize the cmatrix window, I repeatedly held Ctrl-B, and then pressed the down arrow key. Now how fun is that? To exit out of everything, I first pressed Q to exit cmatrix, then I executed exit to close out of that terminal. After that, from the terminal that had the system display, I executed exit. And then for the htop window, I pressed the Q key and executed exit to close out of tmux. Note that due to the VNC used in UserLAnd, apps with OpenGL graphics will not work and there will be no sound. For documentation on Arch, we can go to archlinux.org. From here, if we click on Wiki from the top, we will be shown the Arch documentation. To get to the forums, we can click on Forums from the top. This is where we can post Arch questions. Finally, I'm showing the official UserLAnd GitHub. I will have this linked in the pinned comment. To post a question to the UserLAnd team, we can go to the Issues page. And that's all for this video, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon!